Good morning. Can take a moment and make sure that you feel that you welcome yourself. I love this line, such a short little nugget of wisdom. It says, teach no one that he is what you would not want to be. It's another version of saying, teach only love, for that is what you are. Teach no one that he is what you would not want to be. Takes us back again to how do I perceive my brother? And we have so many opportunities to practice forgiveness of others. How many people does each one of us know? Hundreds, thousands. We know of many, many people. And we can use that in our mind to heal, forgive. Teach no one that he is what you would not want to be. And this goes with today's lesson, which is lesson 102. I share God's will for happiness for me. You do not want to suffer. You may think it buys you something. You may still believe a little that it buys you what you want. Yet this belief is surely shaken now, at least enough that you question it and to suspect it really makes no sense. It has not gone as yet, but lacks the roots that once secured it tightly to the dark and hidden secret places of your mind. Yesterday, Daniel shared that his mother gave him presents when he was sick. That's a very obvious way that to learn that suffering gives me something. Today we try to lose its weakened hold still further and to realize that pain is purposeless, without a cause and with no power to accomplish anything. Pain is without a cause and has no power to accomplish anything. So maybe it's time we stop punishing ourselves. It cannot purchase anything at all. Pain cannot purchase anything at all. It offers nothing and does not exist. And everything you think it offers you is lacking in existence, like itself. You have been a slave to nothing. Be you free today to join the happy will of God. For several days, we will continue to devote our periods of practicing to exercises planned to help you reach the happiness God's will has placed in you. So we have practice periods that are planned to help us reach the happiness that God has placed in us. Here is your home, and here your safety is. Here is your peace, and here there is no fear. Here is salvation. Here is rest at last. Begin your practice periods today with this acceptance of God's will for you. I share God's will for happiness for me, and I accept it as my function now. Then seek this function deep within your mind, for it is there, awaiting but your choice. You cannot fail to find it when you learn it is your choice and that you share God's will. Be happy, for your only function here is happiness. You have no need to be less loving to God's Son than He whose love created Him as loving as Himself. Wow. You have no need to be less loving to God's Son than he whose love created him, as loving as himself. Besides these hourly 5-minute rests, pause frequently today to tell yourself that you have now accepted happiness as your one function. And be sure that you are joining with God's will in doing this. Rest assured that you're joining with God's will in accepting your happiness as your function. How loving that our function is happiness, not to be someone, accomplish something, no, just happiness. And he says rest a few times. Your function is to rest, to let your mind rest in God. You can't say, but what about? No. Rest and happiness. And if you did say, but what about? Okay, look at that. What do you believe? Who do you need to forgive? So if you do need to forgive someone, you can also add yourself. Okay, I need to forgive this one and that one and myself. Because you never hate your brother for his sins, only for your own. It's always good to remember. I share God's will for happiness for me. So do we have any specifics to lift up in this space here that could be helpful to look at together?
Yeah, I really want to heal the competition in my mind. I see it everywhere, and it's a better than, less than thing, and yeah, like just a feeling of lack inside, like I lack something that someone else has, and I don't want to see that everywhere. I want to heal that.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you for exposing that. Yeah. Yeah. And to see how often the ego wants to play that card, like competition, comparison. It's a gentle journey of just seeing it and not buying into it. Like never buying into it, never acting from it, but seeing it, and then pray, ask Holy Spirit to relate through you. And then accept your innocence and all the love that wants to come through you. You're worthy to extend that love, even to the ones you've competed with. Tell them how much you love them, and lay down the sword, lay down the fight, and let that love come out.
Good morning. I'm experiencing such resistance at the moment. yesterday I went for, we have a lovely place here on the Isle of Wight. It's an old priory, used to be, for nuns. And they had on what was called a quiet day. And there was a lay preacher every hour. He was reading from the readings of Brother Lawrence. And I just couldn't let go to it. I attended the first reading and just couldn't open up to what was being said. And then the rest of after that reading, we were then free to go and use the facilities at the Abbey. There was an art room and beautiful gardens and various rooms. It was all just done in quiet and silence. And my only thought was, well, I'm cold, and that made me grumpy. And just sat in a chair doing the self-inquiry, who am I? But all I was aware of was the noise around me, people coming in and slamming doors and walking on the floorboards and scribbling and rustling papers. The resistance was so strong, and it was supposed to finish at 4 o'clock, and I left at 1 o'clock. I just couldn't bear it anymore. The resistance to open up to that space and what was being offered was just so strong. And then I had one of my miracle buddy friends posted on Facebook this morning, and all these pictures, and her experience was one of love and joy and happiness and how beautiful it was. And I thought, we just saw such different pictures of this place, and that made me realize even more how resistant I was. I'm not going to enjoy this place, and I'm not going to open up to the love. So, yeah, that kind of bothers me. Anyway.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and maybe you had an expectation that you should,
Yes.
it should
Yes.
give you something big.
Yeah.
So I find it very interesting and reassuring to open the mind so much that you say, well, how do I know? What do I know? How do I know it should be that way? Maybe Spirit wants to teach you that in the peace of your own home or in the grocery store is an equal opportunity to experience that vast peace of God. Because you're in an environment with monks, or that there should be something special. But yeah, I think there can be a lot of concepts. Like salvation is the freedom of concepts. And you could see it as a gift instead of punishing yourself for being resistant. But yeah, the resistance is huge. So when we experience noise, disturbance, slamming doors or whatever, it's an opportunity to look at the stress inside. What's going on in me? Why is it so much disturbance?
Mm-hmm.
We experience a lot of dogs barking, both here in South Africa and in Spain. So this is the way the world is presenting as an opportunity to look often what's going on in the mind. Why are these dogs barking so intensely right now? Who has something? Even so that's sometimes how we go at it. Who has something here? Why are the dogs barking? And then we can have a very beautiful open sharing and healing.
Thank
So
you,
yeah.
Jenny. That's really helpful. Yeah, that's really, really helpful. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of share too that sometimes resistance is not a message from the ego, but it actually is more like guidance. So it may be that even though you're in what seems like a beautiful place, you're in an environment that has all these beautiful spaces and beautiful opportunities to, be with yourself, that it wasn't your place, that it wasn't the place for you. And then it can just be like, okay, Spirit's sort of giving me a nudge that this isn't my thing. And that's beautiful to receive too. Because it's never about how something looks. If we, like Jenny said, if there's a concept, oh, I should have a very peaceful, maybe I'll have some deep opening here because it's, you know, surrounded by people who are very dedicated and devoted. But it's not about kind of checking the boxes or looking the right way. You know, it's always about tapping deeper into the guidance from Holy Spirit. And that could be leading you in a different direction than where you were yesterday.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, both of you. It's so helpful. Lovely. Thank you.
Mm. Thanks for sharing. I love how deep the healing goes. Even in this Western world, we're indoctrinated by Christianity, saints, and we have love and hate for it, I think. But we have some deep healing and forgiveness around sacred places and sacred people and sacred experiences and how it should look, what we expect. So all concepts really need to be seen and questioned. Yeah. Jonas.
Hello.
Hello.
So 2 weeks ago, after not having met any girls after Vanessa, I put out a prayer actually, and 2 days later I meet this girl in a dance event, and we just have a wonderful connection. And we end up going home to her and just having like 20 hours where we are like two kids, like really, really happy together. And then she comes and visits me 6 days ago again. And I had the prompt, like, maybe I should not be intimate with her this time because maybe it can be deeper if I don't, something like that. And then I end up not following that. And even though that she wrote me a message right after and said, thank you for the beautiful time, she has not responded now for 6 days. And somehow it hurts me a lot. And I don't know if it's guilt that we was intimate, that she might have also received some energy from me that was doubtful because I was not the same. I didn't have the same certainty that our relationship was supposed to be. And I'm sure it might be the ego and the guilt about the intimacy that has taken space. I'm not sure, but I see a sadness there that she has not gotten back to me, a big sadness. And I just want to put that on the altar.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the guilt can, or the belief that you've done something wrong that could affect something.
Yeah.
So that's where you need to forgive the guilt that you did something or you didn't follow the guidance you felt.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always this deep, it's the way the separation belief.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had so many experiences of falling in love and being rejected. So many. It was part of learning that there is one love and it's not in a body. So, I mean, all you can do is to pray about if you want to send her a very open message about this.
Uh-huh.
You can just share your heart. Maybe she feels your heart then.
Mm,
Or maybe you did.
yeah, but it was also deeper than that. It was like there was some judgments coming up from me. So, the first time it was like I saw her as this like the perfect angel, the perfect relationship. And then the second meeting I was already going into a little too much hair there and a little maybe it's not a full yes, And I also shared with her that there was some doubt in me, that I couldn't promise. And for me, it's like I was much more gentle than I was back in Vanessa. I have learned how to deal with this in a mature way. I more just shared that I was not fully sure, and I felt some guilt that I could not say a full yes. And she had been feeling that I had a full yes in the first meeting. So yeah.
Well, it's helpful to see. It's all your mind.
Hmm.
Yeah. And reflections. And yeah. Mhm. One of my early dating experiences after the course was so profound. It was such a deep connection with this guy, and we spent also several days together, and it was like heaven and hell because it was so much powerful love and connection. But then the next moment or the next hour, there was, like viciousness, ego, hatred, or like very strange experiences. And then I went on my own to work through it and forgive it. And I read Entering the Ark, this powerful section in the course. And I came out of that reading feeling so one again, so one in the love. And then he came up to me in that moment and said, I'm out of here, I'm leaving. And I thought, what? Like, it was like my heart got ripped out. And I was like, what? And then I was going to make a fire right after that. And the newspaper I used to make the fire had on the first page, big letters, saying Jenny had to wait for 7 years. And I get goosebumps now because at that point, it was very intense to get that message that I was going to have to wait for so long for that love that I had experienced. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, so that
And you
was like
did.
pretty much, yeah. Actually, it was exactly 7 years after that
Hmm.
that I got together with my long-term relationship that I had starting in 2012. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy to find a dedicated partner on this path, I suppose, like when we want to go so deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if you decide on the form, when you decide upon the form of what you want, you lose the understanding for its purpose.
Hmm.
And that's a deep learning.
Hmm. Oh, yeah. I totally want to decide on the form in all my life.
Yeah, not so helpful. So that may be your next lesson to learn.
So,
If you don't want to hurt yourself again, if you don't want to feel pain, you got to take that lesson.
okay. Well,
Mhm. That's another story I shared the other day, how willing I was. It was the spirit had me work with an older man who was an ex-alcoholic who had lived his life with his mother, and he was dirty and not yeah not smelling good. And I said, Spirit, please don't make me be in a relationship with him. Please, Spirit, please, please. And all I heard was, well, just join with him. He wanted to come visit me. He always brought a cake and he wanted to talk and talk and talk, sharing his whole life story because he had nobody had ever listened to him. And he felt that I was present and loving. And Spirit used me that way. And then one day he said, so can I kiss you? Could I kiss you? And I asked Holy Spirit, I was like, Holy Spirit, do I have to say yes? Holy Spirit was like, no, you don't have to say yes. So I said, okay, no, you can kiss me on the cheek. And he did, but he suddenly had a very big mouth, like was almost on my mouth. So it was a very interesting, but it was all very innocent and yeah. So that was, to be willing. I've had beautiful, beautiful experiences and connections with people who are not my type or what I
hmm.
would choose, or because it's
Um,
so not about the form. It's about the
mm,
spirit, and age and looks and all that is, yeah, that's the ego's playing field.
Mm. Yeah. I kind of it makes me want to run away from this meeting because I really want to keep some things that I like in this human existence, you know.
Well, I give you my blessing if you want to run away.
Okay. Thank you, Jenny.
Love you, Jonas.
Love you.
Always delightful.
Likewise.
Mm. It's helpful to check in, when you have little me thoughts. Whenever you have little me thoughts about me, myself, and I, then it's time to come back to the right mind. That's all it calls for. And then to not be so concerned about my life and my world and me, these thoughts. Just be concerned about now, the present moment, and the right mind. Only spirit is real. The wrong mind is false. It's a false idea. And can you be in something that is not real? Can you exist in something that is not real? Or what is that? Is that illusion? It's not life. We want to expand out into the vast one mind. Into the light. Not to be concerned about the world of form or what's going to happen later. That's an excuse of not being open to God right now. Thinking about later is an excuse or a justification to not allow and experience the now. And this is why we need Holy Spirit. Yeah, because some things feel so hurtful. We don't know how to forgive these things. But I really appreciate that you allow your emotions, because this is a gateway. This is like a good first step. You don't have to like be occupied with how you can forgive him, but actually allow this pain. This is a very helpful step. Even to say, I don't want to forgive him. I'm very angry. I feel very hurt. It's very painful. I don't want to forgive him. Allow that thought. Thank you. Thank you for the desire to forgive him, and for allowing this pain. I have such experiences of experiencing what felt like unforgivable things, or being used. And I've had experiences of spirit showing me that the characters, they are really not real. In a way, we can't really forgive the characters because they are manifestations of false ideas. One time I prayed to see the error of my father, my dad, to see how he had hurt me. And I prayed very sincerely. And then the light came, a huge light came in my mind, and God said, this is your father. This is your dad. So I realized there's no meeting point with the earthly experience of people and craziness and the truth. But the way out for me has been to allow the pain and the anger and the fear. And Spirit is so for us, so with us in the healing, for anything we give. Like I was reading in the beginning, that willingness to give everything to Spirit. It was very healing.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I really wanted to speak on the last satsang. I know as soon as I start speaking, a lot of emotion comes up. And that's what I want to avoid. And there's still a deep feeling like I can't burden other people with the grief.
I just want to give you a different story, Lori, because when I first started doing like healing events or gatherings or groups, and they would ask people like, who would like to have, some healing or talk about something, I would like raise my hand like all the time. Because I knew the gift of the sharing. I knew the gift of the healing. And I just want to offer that to you, that you can claim that. You can claim that for yourself.
It's so like I don't really let it up, like I would if I was just on my own. There's always this feeling like I just need to try and contain it. But the thing I wanted to share, it came up in the last satsang as well, is this feeling of feeling unwanted. And it's so linked to behaviour. It's around work. It's like it's linked to this fear of appearing weird, so it comes with a deep feeling of unsafety as well, like, oh God, I'm going to lose my job and not going to be able to pay my bills, like catastrophe thinking.
That's so backwards, Laurie. You're such a gift. I think you can see your job as a place where you share who you are just by your presence.
We did have an experience of that I shared last time where there's such fear comes up that I thought I just need to give this to spirit. And in that, because I'm there for 48 hours as well, it's a long time to be together with. Yeah, and it was such a like, the screen shifted like. Yeah, I think, and that experience helped me to see where I'm saying no. I keep hearing you and Barrett's a lot. I've spoke about just accept the mission, say yes to, and I can see where I'm like,
It's such a gift to see the places where you say no. And this pattern you've had now for some years, you don't want to share because of the emotions, to see it, but to not let it make decisions for you.
yeah,
It's okay to have some emotions, and it's also okay to share. And you're not unwanted. You're a precious pearl, precious gift.
yeah, I want to feel that.
Yeah, you can have that prayer. I want to feel that. I want to know that I am precious, that I am a precious child of God.
Yeah, because I feel like Spirit's showing me as well that to really question what am I available for? That's bringing up fear as well, instead of being this kind of spiritual, always available, we'll sit and listen and like being
to learn to say no. Salvation comes when you learn to say no. Listen to Madonna. Freedom comes when you learn to let go. Salvation comes when you learn to say no. Because you are a precious gift, and you need to allow the gift to come through and be extended where it is wanted and needed. And if you let yourself be drained by meaningless people who pull your attention or demand, then you're drained, and then you cannot be the gift and share the gift. So yeah, it's important to take time out and say no when you need to. Yeah. And then you'll be more and more guided too, and know where God would have you be and what God would have you share and with whom. Everything is a teaching. Like, you teach all the time with your mind what you are, and even saying no is a teaching. It shows the universe where to put attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Big hug to you too.
To you.
Laurie, the precious pearl.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I went back and forth to share or not. And yeah, Barry just said, yeah, the power of sharing. So it's such a gift. So I want to, share about the competition you were talking about. It was just the right subject for me today. I feel so much competition still the whole day. Everything I do is judging, competition, comparing. I'm so tired of it. It's such a strong, it has such a strong hold on me. Yeah, I just want to share it and put it on the altar because I really, really want to let go of this. Yeah, we saw such a beautiful movie yesterday with David. This man, Clarence, who was just we were talking about it as well, about thinking about the big picture, not this little me that is all the time comparing, but the big picture. How can I help you? How can I support you? And yeah, so it seems like everything comes together a little bit this morning. And
Yeah, because even he was, I don't think he was thinking like that. How can I be truly helpful for the whole? I don't think he was thinking that way. Or how can I help this apartheid or all the differences are in the world with black and white, but he was such a help in that area, and I don't think that was his goal or anything, but so innocently being willing to be helpful. Yeah,
yeah, just to be fully open and just to be aware of how can I support. That's really such a beautiful thought. It ends
yeah,
all competition right away. So
yeah, yeah. And when you start to feel you have that prayer to be truly helpful, and you'll be more inspired too. You will no longer think such small thoughts around comparing and competing, because you will be so busy extending, and it's so joyful.
yeah, yeah. I just wanted to share that.
Mm. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
putting
you.
that on the out there. Yeah. Beautiful. What a rich, loving meeting. Just hear the word loving, loving. Love is loving. Love is loving us. Yeah. All the way home. Mm. And for you who want to donate, our link is paypal.me/ACIM love. paypal.me/ACIM love. Okay. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.